Do you sometimes feel tired in a way that sleep cannot fix? As if part of your energy is always carrying something invisible, some silent word that nobody fully understands? Do you often feel emotionally distant from the world even while living inside it? Like you are watching life from behind a glass wall, present but never completely involved? Then Saturn in the 12th house may be speaking through your life. This is one of the deepest and most misunderstood placements in astrology, because the 12th house itself is already connected with isolation, endings, loss, hidden suffering, sleep, foreign lands, spirituality, the subconscious mind, sacrifice, and the dissolving of the ego. And when Saturn enters this house, life often becomes internally heavy long before the person learns how to explain why. Saturn is the planet of karma, pressure, responsibility, fear, time, endurance, and emotional restriction. Wherever Saturn sits, life becomes serious. It creates lessons that cannot be skipped. And in the 12th house, those lessons often happen in silence. Many people with Saturn in the 12th house grow up feeling emotionally alone even when surrounded by people. Sometimes they struggle to express vulnerability. Sometimes they hide pain so deeply that others assume they are simply strong or emotionally detached. But internally, there is often a constant feeling of carrying burdens that never completely leave the mind. This placement can create deep loneliness, not always physical loneliness, but psychological loneliness. The feeling that nobody truly sees the full depth of what is happening inside. Many of these individuals become experts at suffering quietly. They continue functioning while emotionally exhausted. They keep responsibilities moving while parts of them slowly disappear into silence. And because the 12th house rules hidden things, much of Saturn's pressure becomes internalized. The fears may not always be visible outwardly. Anxiety about survival, fear of failure, guilt, emotional suppression, regret, spiritual confusion, or a constant feeling of being cut off from peace may exist beneath the surface for years. Many people with this placement struggle with sleep itself. Either the mind refuses to shut down, or the subconscious becomes unusually active through vivid dreams, fears, overthinking, or emotional residue carried from the past. The person may appear calm externally, while internally their nervous system remains constantly active. The 12th house is also connected with isolation from the ordinary world. This is why Saturn here often creates periods where the person withdraws from people, either physically or emotionally. Sometimes life itself forces isolation through circumstances, foreign lands, emotional separation, hospitals, spiritual retreats, difficult endings, loneliness, or periods where the person feels disconnected from normal social life. But this placement is not only about suffering. Over time, Saturn in the 12th house can create extraordinary depth and spiritual maturity. Because eventually the person realizes something important. They cannot escape themselves. The 12th house dissolves illusions, and Saturn forces confrontation with reality. Together, they slowly push the person inward, towards self understanding, toward acceptance, toward facing fears that others spend their lives running from. Many people with this placement become deeply introspective. They may develop interest in spirituality, meditation, psychology, healing, solitude, hidden knowledge, monasteries, dream analysis, or understanding the unconscious mind itself. Because outward success alone rarely satisfies them completely. Something deeper keeps calling them inward. This placement can also create strong karmic patterns connected to sacrifice and responsibility. The person may repeatedly feel responsible for others emotionally, financially, or psychologically. Sometimes they become caretakers. Sometimes they carry family burdens quietly. Sometimes they suppress their own needs for years while handling duties nobody notices. And eventually, this creates exhaustion. One of the hardest lessons of Saturn in the 12th house is learning that suffering silently is not always strength. Many of these individuals become so used to emotional suppression that they forget how to ask for help. They isolate during pain. They disappear into themselves. They may even believe their struggles are theirs alone to carry. But Saturn here often teaches healing through acceptance rather than resistance. Another major theme is fear of loss. The 12th house naturally rules endings and letting go. Saturn tries to control what cannot fully be controlled, so the person may fear emotional abandonment, financial instability, losing security, being forgotten, aging, helplessness, or invisible failure. This can make them extremely cautious internally, even if others do not notice it outwardly. Financially, Saturn in the 12th house can create slow spending habits, fear around expenses, or periods where money flows toward responsibilities, isolation, healing, foreign matters, or obligations rather than pleasure. Some people become highly disciplined with money because deep inside they fear future instability. At times, this placement also creates a strange attraction towards solitude. Even when the person desires connection, part of them feels safest alone. Solitude becomes both a wound and a refuge. They may need more time alone than others simply to process life emotionally. And yet, despite all this heaviness, Saturn in the 12th house can create incredible inner strength over time. Because these people learn how to survive psychologically, they learn endurance, emotional depth, compassion for suffering, patience with darkness, the ability to sit with uncomfortable truths instead of escaping them. Many eventually become wise precisely because life forced them to confront pain internally rather than avoid it externally. As maturity develops, especially after the Saturn return or after the mid 30s, this placement often improves significantly. The person slowly learns boundaries, emotional acceptance, and the importance of inner peace. Spiritual understanding becomes more real. Solitude becomes less frightening, and instead of feeling punished by silence, they begin finding meaning within it. Some even become deeply healing presences for others, because people who have truly suffered internally often develop the rare ability to understand pain without judgment. But the greatest lesson of Saturn in the 12th house may be this: not every battle is meant to be fought through control. Some things are healed through surrender. This placement slowly teaches the soul to release what it cannot carry forever, to stop building emotional prisons around fear, to stop believing that worth comes only from endurance and sacrifice, because eventually Saturn in the 12th house begins to understand something profound. Peace is not found by escaping pain, it is found by finally making peace with oneself after years of silently carrying it.